and welcome to Six Figure Signature Offers, the podcast for women in business who want to create brands that become the hot tamale of their industry and sold out scalable offers that bring home the bacon without burning them out. I'm your host, online business strategist Robin Birkin. I've gone from managing 8-figure marketing budgets and big teams to creating 2 multi-6-figure businesses in part-time hours by design. If you're ready to attract Cloud9 clients in droves, sell out your scalable offers, and not bring your laptop to the beach, then welcome, let's go. Hi, and welcome to Six Figure Signature Offers. I'm so excited to have you here, whether this is your first episode or you are an avid subscriber. I so appreciate you. And I am excited because the women are having a day. There are so many women right now in the online business space who are having $1 million, $2 million launches, and I am here for it. If you take anything away from these episodes, it is that if it's possible for them, it is possible for you, and that all of them are launching in really different ways. So here are some of the takeaways from their launches over the next 4 episodes. Now, the full disclosure is that I am not part of any of their programs. So launches are my love language. And it would seem wrong to open up with anyone but Jessi Jean's launch story. So unless you've been living under a rock, Jessi Jean is the feel-good / unicorn launch story of 2026. And as a woman in business, I love everything about her story. And I'm going to share some of the insights and the takeaways that I've seen that can help you in your business. It's going to give you food for thought about how you launch, about how you put together your sales pages, how you think about your offerings. I'm so excited to get down to it. Now, you might be like, wah, wah. I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably aren't, but you might be thinking, I'm Jessi Jean'd out. It's all anyone's talking about on Instagram. It's all I hear about. If that is you, I want to push back because in case you haven't seen, just last night, Jessi Jean opened the doors again just a few weeks later, something like 3 weeks later, and she's already sold like probably nearly $1.5 million again. In the first just over an hour, she did another $1 million. You should be schooled about how to run an online business in 2026, and you should be obsessed with everything that she is doing, because if you want to create similar success, it is very much a unicorn story. There are so many takeaways that you can take from exactly what she is doing into your business to create more success in what you are doing. So let's speak to Jessi Jean, who she is, what I see in her launch, and how you can apply that to your launch. Does that sound good? Amazing. Now, before we get started, a couple of things. If you want to see a little bit more about what a pre-launch runway looks like, I have a free PDF guide. It's called Hot Launch Leads. Actually, it's a Google document. It's called Hot Launch Leads, and it speaks to a lot of the concepts and things Jean did, the way that she leveraged the bandwagon effect, exactly how you can do that for your own business and brand. It's a case study of a launch that I ran. Every time I look at this case study, I'm like, so many valuable insights. So if you would like a copy of that, go to the show notes and you can grab that free copy. So if you do not know anything about Jessi Jean, she used to be a binge eating recovery coach. At her height in her business, she made $150,000 and she launched that business in 2018. Now, I have love heart eyes for podcasting. If you're in my mastermind, oh my God, we are all loving podcasts. We have multiple women launching podcasts, multiple women relaunching podcasts, and that is because they are such a great tool for not only growth, but also nurture and authority in your business. And that Jessi Jean credits to her last business was the growth of her podcast. So that's a bit of an aside. So at the height of her business, she was making about $850,000. She then, the year that she got pregnant, she slowed down. And that is because when you get pregnant, when you have kids, it's very hard to go at that same pace. Your capacity changes and so do your priorities. And so her revenue went down to about $100,000. And then when she had her, I think, son, it went down to $26,000 as she firmly took her foot off the pedal in her business. So she then, I guess, came out of that season and I'm assuming felt quite unaligned with the niche that she had, which is a super common thing to do. So about 7 months ago, 2025, she pivoted and started a new Instagram account. On that Instagram account, she started talking about a broad range of topics, and I would have in my life before that this was a good strategy, except for in 2026. People want to see some little bit of a form of breadth and almost like behind the scenes into your account. So she started a new Instagram account, furniture flipping, her monthly earnings, millennials in a career crisis, and became an expert in talking head reels, which she calls yapping to camera. So about 3 weeks ago, she just closed out a $1.2 million launch. She sold about 5,000 places in a $297 online course/challenge called Yap on Camera, and has gone from making $24,000 total to a $1.2 million launch. And that launch spanned, I believe, around 2 weeks. Epic. How incredible. And I am so here to cheerlead a woman who is doing that. So number one is she built her audience for a solid 6 months and leaned in for her audience and what people were arguably DMing her about. She already knew how to post on Instagram because her past account had more than 100,000 followers, but she then doubled down. She chose one content type when other people might have been talking about B-roll reels are having a heyday or carousels are having a heyday. She just kept talking to camera. And you might be someone who wants to primarily use one single content type, whether that's carousels or B-roll reels. And that's a really clear illustration that content that works is just content that works. So do not feel like you have to kind of swing and sway with trends constantly. Find something, hook your reader in and know who your audience is. And then when you start to get some traction in one area, just double down on it. And that's exactly what she did. But you will see throughout her videos, she knows how to hook you in. She knows how to create open loops so that you will watch to the end of the video and then watch other videos that she has. So she's not by any means a rookie at growing your audience. Number two, though, she is humble. Authenticity and humility are so in fashion in 2026. So you should absolutely share your credentials and share regularly your social proof, how you're qualified, results that you've had and got for clients. And even Jessi Jean has her social proof banner right under the hero area of her sales page, as you should too. But she isn't sharing her wounds. She isn't sharing, this is really hard, I'm having a really hard time, I'm really depressed, oh my God, my last business failed, whatever it is. She's not sharing any of that. She is sharing, look, I don't know what I'm doing next. I don't know what my next chapter is. I don't know if you can relate. But she is not sharing open wounds and a this is hard, nothing is working vibe ever. So that is not what authenticity is, and I will die on this hill, right? But she is being refreshingly honest, not being a guru. And I think that's a really important conversation to have in 2026 because people are not here for information. People are here for perspective. So A side note is that this is exactly how I built my life coaching business back in the day. So I've had a career in marketing, advertising, and sales. And then we ourselves experienced an emotionally draining infertility experience. And my past business was built from just openly and honestly sharing some of our journey out there, and then letting people know what I did that was helping. And I didn't profess to be an expert. I didn't profess to be a life coach. I didn't profess to have all the answers, but I did sell a program like, this is the things that have worked for me. Now, one of the things that I did in that program was I would interview other experts in my niche. And so I would have in my program a naturopath, a nutritionist, a neurologic music therapist, multiple psychologists. So I had a program that I could say, hey, here's all these incredible people as part of my bonus suite that provided my authority, but I didn't profess to be any kind of expert in what it is that I did. I did then later, once I had tried it on for size, qualify as a certified holistic life coach and mind body in the early days. And I made hundreds of thousands of dollars before I trained as a life coach. And she has very much been open and honest, and people want to pay for that because her whole online challenge is about, this is what I've done and this is why I believe that worked. The next takeaway that I have is courses are not dead, and that specificity and perspective wins. Everyone has been talking about how online courses are dead at the same time as I have continued to buy more self-paced online courses. And whilst I think our messaging should change and evolve, and that there is an appetite for support, community, and camaraderie, and I do not think that ChatGPT could ever replace good online courses. Jessi Jean's online course is simple, as yours should be, for someone to jump in and get a particular result. It is not going to be something that takes a lot of time to get through, but it also isn't like self-paced, here you go. One of the things that we often do when I'm working with clients inside the mastermind is I will recommend that they launch their online course with a kickoff call. A kickoff, it reiterates the benefit of your program and reminds people of the payoff and why they signed up in the first place. It gives more welcome momentum. So the second that someone has got into your program is the second become disengaged or more engaged. So when you have a kickoff call, you get to kick off with that excitement and that dopamine hit that people get, and then they feel excited, and then they feel more motivated to go through your curriculum. So that's what she's done. But then, and that was live, but then the entire rest of the program is drip fed. What you should do when you launch a new group offer, and that is she is recording and delivering the curriculum as she goes in real time. And that can feel like a lot of work, no doubt, but she's riding the wave, as you should do, and I'll speak to that later. But she's creating the content as she goes, and that is the smart way to do it. When you create all of the content in advance, before you have people going through the content, you're going to be able to deliver as good an experience because you don't have any of that real-time feedback as you go. She would have, I guarantee it, put out the first, let's say, 2 modules and then being like, oh my God, here's the feedback that I've got, and made changes as she goes. So then instead of having to re-record the whole thing after putting everyone through the first round, she can just edit and evolve and change that as she goes through and creates it and delivers it, to arguably get it all created and delivered far faster than if you were just relying on discipline and motivation and like spare time in order to create that. You can see in her content, like, everyone went on a holiday. You know, I've committed to releasing this thing, and she's putting in all of this effort into doing it. And she would be working her butt off in this moment. But I think it's so smart. I think the way that she has put it together is really smart. It's drip modules a day at a time. She's almost like documenting in her social media. So she's posting to her social media, okay, I've just released day 21. So people are getting to go through in her content, all of that in real time. Positioned it as a challenge. Whether you call it a challenge or an online course, doesn't really matter. One of the benefits of calling it a challenge is that it creates that camaraderie and that shared investment in going through the curriculum. Created a movement. Movements are so incredibly important. They speak to someone's identity, someone's beliefs. She's calling it the Yap Nation, and she's calling everyone Yap Homies. So they feel like they had challenge, and a lot of the challenge is her basically walking through, this is the post I put out and this is why it worked. And then everyone gets to go through that together, actually live, except the first masterclass. So this is super smart, and this is exactly what you should do too when you are creating a program. Keep it simple, keep it very directed at this is the one outcome that we have, and then deliver the program as you go, even if you're not presenting live. So a lot of people, when I say like deliver as you go, when you're running the first round of something, everyone thinks that means delivering live masterclasses. That's 100% not the case, right? So the next thing, if you have a look at her sales page, the next couple of things I'm going to speak specifically to her sales page and her value stacking and her bonuses. Look at her sales page and see the value stacking that she has. She's going through the sales page and putting a value at right above where you pay. So she's going through the modules like, this is this bonus, this is module, this is how much it's worth, and then putting that all together so that you go down the sales page and you're like, oh, it includes this, oh, it includes that, oh, it includes that, oh, wow, see it. You in your mind will go, oh, whoa, that's like $1,000 value. And then when you look at the payment area, you'll be like, oh, but it's only $297. Then when you look at the bonuses, bonuses are one of the number one things that I look at when any of my clients are launching things like online courses. Now, what I'm going to speak about before I speak specifically to the bonuses is objections. This is generally how it goes. They're going to look at the sales page because they're interested in what you have to say. Then they are going to read down. They're going to go, oh, that looks great. And then because of the way our brains are wired, they're instantly, this won't work for them and their specific circumstance, or why now isn't a good time, why they're not the right type of person, why maybe this might not be a good investment. You do this. You do this all of the time. You also think you're a special snowflake, right? Your brain is designed to be wired that way. So how do you overcome this? You present the offer, and then in that second half almost of the swing is speaking to objections. So if someone thinks they're a special snowflake, what are the top reasons that someone thinks that they're a special snowflake? Let me speak specifically to Jessi Jean's challenge. The number one thing that people might be thinking is, I'm not confident speaking to camera. You build confidence by showing up. So if you think to yourself, I'm not confident, she's almost saying back to you, well, you're never going to be confident until you join my program. The next objection that they might have is, yeah, but I'm not tech savvy. Then if you look at her bonus suite, in the first launch, she had 4 bonuses as well. Littered throughout her sales page was reasons why she is non-techie, why this is easy, that really crushing the objection. She's very much like, no, this is easy, this is how you do it. So if you are looking at her sales page and you're like, I'm not a techie person, she's instantly calling you back in with those bonuses to be like, no, but this is for you if you are not a technical person. Then the next objection that people might have is, but what would I even talk about? And then in her 4th bonus, she has a bonus that speaks specific pillars and topics. So therefore, you will always know exactly what you're talking about. Again, another objection squashed. So when you are putting together offers, one of the number one things that you need to do, why someone is going to think that they are a special snowflake and that your program won't work for them, now's not the right time, and then look at how you address that in multiple ways throughout your sales page. and especially in your bonus suite. Look at Jessi Jean's modules. Here's what I see in those. Look at the language. When you are putting together or illustrating the modules in your online program, you should be looking at number one, little transformation. So every module should call back to some form of outcome, but also what you want to do is create open loops in the language that you use to speak about that module. 2, she says, watch this before you post on day 3. It is an open loop. Your brain feels compelled to close that loop, to find the answer. It's like an unanswered question. It makes your brain feel crazy. Another example, why the same words land different from different people. What words? How are people different? You don't know until you watch the module. So, and again, this is really important as well, because joining the program so you can figure out, and going through the program so you can figure out the answers. Another example, the 5-ish video formats I rotate through. She doesn't tell you what the 5 formats are in sales pages and spelling out modules. You don't want to say to people, you're going to learn, let's say that one of them is a list post, one of those is a before after post, one of those is a series, 5 modules. She's not writing in her descriptions, you're going to learn exactly how I create list posts that get traction. No, go get inside the program to find out what they are. And again, if you look in her modules, again and again and again, she's speaking to that objection to say, this is all very easy. She does this in multiple parts of her sales page, both at the end of each module and piece of delivery, and then again in the payment area. There is a dedicated section to the payoff of what happens. Then if you look on the sales page at the very, very end, you might have seen these before in sales pages. They're super common with people who know how to put together sales pages, but you might have never known why people do this. I'm going to explain that to you right now. So you will notice in many sales pages, people write like a kind of a love letter at the bottom. It's a personal love letter. It should have a photo of you alongside it. And what you are doing, again, is people are going down the sales page. They're thinking of all of the sales page and they're like, oh, but should I really join? Isn't that the good time? Oh. And what you want is basically for all of those people who are just on the cusp of joining and they're like, do I? Don't I? What do I do? Assuring them, yes, now is the right time. Yes, I am the right person. Yes, I know exactly what it's like. Yes, I have got results. Yes, my clients have got results for you too, but only after they've taken the leap. That's what you do in the bottom of the page sign off, right? Now they are just on the fence. So you want to be like, hey, I get it. I've been there. If you're on the fence, jump. That is the bottom of the page sign up. She has that as well. The next thing is that something that I call the bandwagon effect. This is one of the most important things that you can do to help your launches, your lead flow, everything catch fire. If you want to learn more about it, my free guide that is called Hot Launch Leads, it walks through exactly how, like the exact Instagram stories and everything that I used to leverage the bandwagon effect. I think I had 500 lead magnet signups. Example of how I took something that started to gather a little bit of momentum and then poured gasoline on the fire. So it is free. You'll see it in the show notes. The other thing where I specifically share with you more about the bandwagon effect is inside Track. It's a low priced program and it's so easy to consume. It's a private podcast together with easy tools and resources like grab and go cheat sheets, etc. on exactly inside this. In the private podcast, there is a whole episode dedicated to the bandwagon effect. And Jessi Jean leveraged it so well. Her launch started to catch fire and she poured what I call funnel fuel, sharing her numbers. People started to prick their ears and pay attention. You best believe people were joining her launch just because they were like, whoa, I want to be part of this. I'm swept up in this movement of what's happening, into this massive ball of fire. Then she poured more urgency into this because she was like, oh my goodness, I think I'm actually going to reach the limit of the number still on the fence in the launch and watching on had to stop ruminating and going around and around in circles and get off the fence if they wanted to actually get in the program, because she had a limit of 5,000 people. So umming and ahhing about it, she started getting genuinely excited. She was sharing her numbers day by day in the launch, and again, people were starting to pay attention. Now, it caught fire. She immediately opened the waitlist back up again and started promoting the waitlist to her offer. And then just 3 weeks later has just fire or gathers any momentum. Ride it. Ride that momentum. And this is a perfect example of exactly how she's done that, because she made $100,000 in the first 10 minutes last night. Zero. That's just over an hour minutes. She didn't wait. She wasn't like, oh man, I'm exhausted, I'm just going to crawl up in a ball. Number one, she kept showing up on Instagram every single day and still maintaining that consistency. Opened the wait list up straight away. And I can tell you, there were like 404 errors in there. Like nothing was perfect. Tech breaks, that's perfectly fine. So don't expect that everything has to be perfect and set up perfectly. It doesn't. And she opened back 30,000 people on the wait list. I have no idea how many she ended up with on the wait list. Could be like 40,000, and has now sold another 5,000 at least, I would guess, places in the program. Biggest things that happens when people launch though is they feel exhausted after a launch. So one of the things that you need to factor in, like she would be exhausted right now, but her whole family, because she just made $1 million, would be like, whatever you need. Family went on holiday, she stayed behind, she's still delivering the program, but she's ridden the momentum, and obviously that has paid off for her and her family. But the last 3 days of her launch were the biggest. So if you take anything away from that as well, obviously she caught fire. Know that your launch can have a massive upward swing right at the end of the launch. So don't slow down at the end of your launch. Gather up speed. Start having a look at what's in those. Crush those objections. Show up more. Build out momentum in your launch, because you have the opportunity for it to like start catching fire. And then the other thing that I would say is, where can you have system, straight up human, and documenting and speaking from the heart, but still creating opportunities for people to buy from you when the iron is hot, right? So a few other details. She ran and launched a wait list. I've followed her for quite a while, but I haven't been following along exactly on the launch. I want to say she had the doors open to the main cart for a week and the doors open to the wait list for a week. And she was promoting her wait list for maybe a month wait list, right? The other thing that you may or may not have noticed is that she has written, this is so smart, like I love that she's done this. And most people would gloss over this content, but that is super smart, because that gives her the opportunity to offer version 2 to all the people who have bought version 1, rather than committing to having to continually keep it up. There are some topics that change so rapidly all of the time. So they're almost like a never-ending update fest. They're really, really hard to keep updated without spending your life constantly in delivery. So I think that's a very, very smart way to deliver her course. If you are delivering something that feels like a moving parade, and make it a challenge and say you can have lifetime access to this version, but not like future versions or other versions. Obviously, she still posts once a day. So she can go through now and say, okay, well, I'm going to release a version 2 that is all of the posts that have worked for me over the last 6 months. In potentially being like, no, now we're just going to invest it in shares and retire and live our best lives, and I don't have to serve anyone ever again. There are a lot of challenges that people would be selling for, like $47, $27, $97. She went a little bit higher than that. But if you have a much more sort of proximity in those offers until you have a much bigger audience, a lot of people who are smaller have the desire or like the thought that because I don't have a big audience, I'm going to start with a low priced products because the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. So for her, she's had a big audience. She's launched at $297. 100% would do the exact same thing. For you, if you have a much smaller audience, resist the urge to be more premium, because then you're going to be able to build up recurring revenue and cash flow in your business. And a really good contrast or example to that is that she had, this audience of 300,000 through that 6-month period versus she's now launched this $297 online course. It's positioned as a live challenge, not just a passive digital product. And she's now made something for 6 days or so. So it's a really good example of how to price your products as well. So I think that is all that I have for this launch. I hope you are celebrating this lady and the wins. In the next 3 episodes, at least, I'm going to break down 3 other women in online business who have also had $1 million, $2 million launches, and the insights and takeaways that I have from theirs as well. I love this series. Come and tell me on Instagram at Robin Birkin if you know someone else who has had $1 million launch and you're like, take away this launch. I would love to. You just have to DM me on Instagram. Anyway, that's my episode for today. Have the best day.